Thank you. It's quite an honor to be here this morning. I know most of you in the room, either personally or I know you through Debbie. I've been a recruiter for 3 years. This is the beginning of my 3rd year. And I have to tell you that it is quite an honor to be selected. It's also a very humbling experience to be a recruiter. In that the things that I lay awake at night and worry about are far different and pale in comparison to what these parents lay awake at night and think, I'm sending my kid away for a month to camp. It's humbling, and it's such an awesome experience to get to know these families and help them through the experience of getting their kid to camp. A recruiter is really important because, as you can imagine, there's lots of paperwork and guidelines and deadlines that you have to meet to get your kid approved from the foundation, but then also to camp. There's lots and lots of steps. And it takes a year. It's not an ongoing process. There's definitely deadlines that you meet, but you get to meet with these families in their homes, and you get to talk to them about what is camp about. Why do you want to send your kid to camp? The most important part is sitting down with that child and saying, why do you want to go to camp? What are your visions? What are your expectations? What do you want to gain from it? And it is so inspirational to hear what they have to say. These kids have dreams, they have hopes, they have aspirations, and it's really, really a wonderful experience. Especially when you meet for the first time with a first-time camper, they have no idea what camp is about, right?
Yeah.
And you get to talk to them about their excitement, but there's also their fears. And as a recruiter, you get to sit down and tell them it will be okay. And we'll get through this. And you get to share with them if you went to camp, your experiences of camp, and there's this excitement that you all feel together. As a recruiter, you also get to help the family, and you also become their friend. I think the other recruiters would agree with me that you get to meet these amazing families, and you help them navigate the process. The John Austin Cheeley Foundation does a phenomenal job training recruiters and giving you the experience, giving you the information that you need. You're actually the conduit between the family and the camp. And you go through and you help them fill out the paperwork. You sit down and you have conversations with them about financial obligations. These kids get a scholarship, but each family is also asked to give a little bit to help their kid get to camp. So you get to talk with them about what does that mean to your family and what can you provide. I take it a step further with my camper, and I help financially with her getting there. And that, to my family, is very important. You also get to help coordinate their travel. As Debbie said, some kids go across the country. So there's airline tickets, there's bus trips, there's taxis. And you get to help that family understand how are we going to get your kid from their front door to the front door of camp and back home safely. And then the most fun part, and I think Keely was with us, we went shopping. You get to help these kids get all the clothes and the gear that they need to get to camp. And again, with mine, I took it that step further where I took her shopping. And it was so much fun. They don't have a sleeping bag, most kids. They don't have a rain gear. They don't have hiking boots. They don't have riding boots. They don't have a backpack. They don't have an overnight kit. A lot of these kids have never been overnight before. And it is so much fun to see them at REI or Dick's Sporting Goods, and their eyes light up when you're buying socks. What kind of socks do you think you want to go hiking? It's really, really fun. Being a recruiter is just a blast, and I would highly recommend, if you're ever thinking about doing it, it's really worthwhile. And when you lay down at night, you know that you're helping someone that really needs your help, and it's really fun. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about Mariah, and she is my camper. I've been with her for 3 years. When we applied to the John Austin Cheeley Foundation, she was in 5th grade at East Elementary School. She was 10 years old. She lives with her grandparents. She has a relationship with her father. She has no mother. And I want to tell you her story so when I tell you the impact that camp has on her, you'll understand. Mariah didn't know how to swim or ride a bike. She didn't climb trees because she had a fear of falling and hurting herself. She didn't play sports. She didn't know how, and she was afraid of getting hurt. She also didn't go to the park a lot because she was afraid of getting kidnapped. This is Mariah's story. This is where she came from. This is why we thought that she would be a perfect person to go to camp. In her spare time, she watches TV with her grandmother or plays video games. She is a darling girl, full of life. She's a great student. She has friends at school. She wanted to go to camp because she wanted to learn how to ride a horse. It was amazing. Her grandmother didn't think that she would be able to survive 30 days away from home. I mean, grandmother didn't think that she could take having her granddaughter away for 30 days. I think Mariah knew she could do it, but she never told her grandmother that. The day that we took her to camp, grandmother and I drove her. She chose Cheeley Camp up in Estes Park, and we drove her up there. She had never been to the mountains. She was born and raised in Littleton, never been to the mountains. As we drove up there, she sat in the back seat of my car, and her eyes got about this big. She just couldn't believe everything that she could see. When you drive into Cheeley, down the dirt road, there's a huge sign that spans the drive, and it says, "Welcome to Cheeley." And she got giddy in the back seat. She started getting nervous, and she was sitting and oh gosh, am I going to be able to do this? And we pulled up, we got to her cabin, and we went out to her cabin, and she got her own bag out of the car. She went and found her own cabin. When we went in, she got to pick they have bunk beds, she got to pick her bunk. And after about 5 minutes, she kind of turned around and went, "What are you guys still doing here?" She was busy getting her stuff out and setting up her bed. It's so much fun, isn't it? So I went back a month later, and I went by myself because Grandma couldn't go. And when I drove up, I saw her in the distance, and I saw a different child. She was confident. She carried herself differently. She was happy, full of life. And I watched her for a few minutes, and it was like there was this transformation. When she saw me, "Beth, Beth!" She came and gave me this huge hug, which she'd never done before. She grabbed my hand. She said, "I want to introduce you to every single one of my new friends. I have a friend from Hong Kong. I have a friend from New York. I have a friend from California, from Wyoming, and right here in Colorado. Come here, let me introduce you." And she took me and introduced me to all these girlfriends of hers. And then she did the most amazing thing for a 10-year-old girl. She turned to me and she said, "Beth, do we have time? I want to go thank all my counselors." How many 10-year-old kids do you know that you have to remind them, "Go say thank you, go say thank you"? I watched her find each and every one of her counselors. She hugged them, she said thank you, and she said, "I'll see you next summer." I'm going to cry now. It was so amazing to see her, to see this transformation. When we got in the car, she talked incessantly the entire way home. From Estes Park to Littleton, she didn't take a breath. "Beth, I learned how to ride a horse. Oh my gosh, it was the most amazing thing. I trusted myself. I did the climbing wall. I climbed all the way to the top of the climbing wall. I went hiking. I fell in love with archery. Do you know how many bullseyes I got? A ton. She was doing things that she had never even dreamed of doing. Things that she would never have done in Littleton, Colorado if she didn't have this opportunity. She wrote letters every single day to me, to my daughters, to her grandparents, to her father, to her friends. She wrote every day for 30 days. That goes back to school. She today is writing to her friends across the country and the world. She went on an overnight camp and slept out in the woods in the Rocky Mountain National Forest and had a blast. She has had the most amazing experience, and it has changed this girl's life, just like you've heard from these kids today. She can't wait to go back to camp. I hope that what we have shared with you today and what these kids have shared with you, that you will support the John Austin Cheeley Foundation. I've seen it with my own eyes. It makes a huge difference. She's excelling in school. She has friends in school. She has friends across the country and the world. And she can't wait to go back. And I want to personally say thank you to Debbie for getting me involved with this and helping Mariah get involved with this and all these kids, because it's an experience of a lifetime. And the child that goes away to camp is different when they come home. And one of the things that Mariah said to me is, when I'm at camp, I'm no different than the others. And that's huge. So thank you for supporting. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. If you guys have any questions afterwards, I would love to talk to you about being a recruiter. And it's just really a neat experience. So thank you.